Hello YouTube, Dave here again, and we are just a few days away from the upcoming stream of Annihilation. It's an event being put on by Wizards of the Coast. I think it's running I think it's running June 2nd and 3rd, if I recall correctly. And what it is going to be like a 48-hour thing where they're streaming live games, interviews, but the biggest thing is that they're going to be unveiling their future products for the next, I would suggest at least the next few months, if not for the next upcoming year. To my knowledge, this is the first time they've done something on such a large scale to announce their products. Normally they would just have like an announcement maybe at, like PAX or some other convention, or it would just kind of appear on their website as, this is the next storyline. In terms of overall stories, on the Wizards of the Coast website, the most current storyline that they have is still Storm King's Thunder. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where they go from that. They just also mentioned that they're going to be unveiling other products, not just necessarily for the role-playing game. So what I wanted to do was just kind of speculate a little bit on what the possible next storyline and what some of the next products could actually be for 5th edition D&D. So with that said, the reason that I kind of have these books out here sort of in the background is if you've gone to the Wizards of the Coast website and seen the announcement, you'll notice that the green devil face from Tomb of Horrors is sort of the icon that they're using for this event. I don't think this necessarily means that we are getting another Tomb of Horrors themed campaign. I'm not sure how well that would go over, actually. When I talked about Tales from the Yawning Portal in my discussion video, if it was a cash grab or not, it seemed like the overall consensus is that people were not pleased with having another upprinting of Tomb of Horrors. So I don't think necessarily that, even though they're using the green double face, that the campaign that they're going to introduce is going to be based on the Tomb of Horrors. I think it may revolve around the creator of the Tomb of Horrors, however, so the Lich or Demi-Lich Aesirek. So I'm thinking that the campaign is going to be sort of an undead-themed campaign involving his machinations. It could be something similar to what the 4th edition Tomb of Horrors was, which was this, sort of the follow-up to the original, where Aesirek was trying to achieve divinity and was doing that by creating these machines and all these different planes of existence. So I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do, but I think Aesirek may be the main villain of the next campaign. Now that said, I'm also completely open to the possibility that they may end up doing something like a Undermountain themed campaign as well. It's something that they, I think, kind of alluded to way back when they released Dungeonology. So there's a possibility that even if it's not involving Aesirek, and the green devil face is just sort of a red herring to throw people off. It's either going to be a campaign involving Aesirek, in my opinion, or it could even be something like an Undermountain or dungeon exploration based campaign as well. Maybe even both, depending, because they usually do 2 campaigns a year. So I mean, who knows? One may be this interconnected story, and then they may have another one which is just exploring various levels of Undermountain, similar to how Tales from the Yawning Portal was a series of really non-connected adventures and dungeon crawls to make a resource that DMs could use if they wanted to pull like some sort of small element into their campaign. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that goes. As far as other products go, I assume there's probably going to be a miniatures line to accompany the new storyline, whatever it's going to be. And beyond that, I think it would be kind of interesting to see if they introduce a new board game. The reason that I say that is for anyone who played the cooperative board games like Castle Ravenloft, Wrath of Ashardalon, Legend of Drizzt, or even the Elemental Evil, which is one that I actually don't own at this point. But for those who bought the first 3, you may remember there was actually announced the board game called Dungeons of Dread. And it never came out. Like, the Dungeons of Dread board game, which is going to be another one of those cooperative board games, never released. And I'm just wondering if maybe now could potentially be the time. Especially if we do a storyline involving Aesirek. Dungeons of Dread was the name of the 1st edition AD&D reprint where they had the original Tomb of Horrors in there. So it'd be interesting to see if maybe they bring that board game back to see how it works now if they tie it into their current storyline. Something else that I'd really love to see with this announcement as well would be the announcement of a new line of novels that are going to tie into the current storyline. And that's something that I think is kind of missing. I don't think there's ever been an official announcement, but it's been quite some time since Wizards of the Coast has released any novels. The last novels that were released lined up with the Out of the Abyss Rage of Demons storyline. So it'd be interesting to see, I would really, really love to see new novels being announced. Even if it's not with the traditional authors that they've had, just to have a new series of novels that are designed to set up the current story or even kind of take place on the periphery so that they're, connected to but not necessarily spoiling the actual storyline itself. So that's basically, all I really have for this one. I'm interested to kind of watch the event and interested to see some of the, the game sessions that they have, as well as some of the announcements. So I guess we could turn this into sort of a discussion video as well. So for anybody watching this, what do you think is going to be the announcements made with the Stream of Annihilation? Do you think it's going to be another Tomb of Horrors campaign? Do you think it's going to be, maybe not Tomb of Horrors, but involving Acerec? Or do you think it's going to be something completely different? I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. Do you think, would you like to see the idea of like the board games come back, novels? There may even be like a comic story that kind of connects it, because they usually, that's something that they have been continuing to run, is their line of comics. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your suggestions, your thoughts, your predictions, and we'll see when the events come if any of this was even remotely accurate. So thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.